Hey guys, today I'm going to be programming a mod from scratch, so let's just get into this, and hopefully I'll be able to show anybody or somebody how I program and how to make a mod easier, how to get the resources to do mod creation easier. And let's just get started from scratch, and let's call this node shifter. Then we'll go in there. We'll create the initialization file, which is init.lua. We'll do the mod.conf configuration, and we'll do name equals node shifter. And now I use Genie as my default, whatever you want to call it, my IDE. Close all the documents. Let's open up our configuration. Let's see now. Oh yeah, this is from. I've been looking to switch distros, but I'm probably not going to do it. But I'll keep these open in the background anyways. Now let's see. Now I wanted to figure out how to log it. Pills item drop, and this is a mod that I know that logs the actual thing that's going on. And yes, I do tend to use other people's resources or other people's mods as an example, and we'll just do node shifter loaded. Okay, let's see. Ooh, excuse me, I just drank a bunch of soda. And in the top here, we'll just do a very basic thing. Now, let's just say these are going to be the goals. Now, goal number 1. Make a simple entity that randomly goes around the world, turning into the node it walks on. 2. Make entity drop node its camoed as on death. Easy enough. Now let's see what we can do here. I tend to go to my GitHub, and I have some mods that do that. Let's see if I can find one in here. It's called simple or stupid mobs. Yeah, here we go. And in the init.lua, I have a whole definition that goes on. But we're gonna do a very basic thing. So we'll look up Minetest register entity. Then it'll be in the developer wiki, and this is just the definition. And I do like to use I like to use a lot of pre-made stuff, or the stuff that's already been made basically. And we'll just do Minetest register entity node shifter, and we'll just call it base, and this will just be the default entity. And as you can see, I don't need to have that second table because this is already part of the table. And we'll just register node, and that'll be the end of it. And now when I do this, model mesh equals model visual cube. I'm not sure. Oh, right, okay. So I don't need mesh because I am just doing a cube. I do need textures, so I'm going to do default stone.png, and all the default textures are stored in the go into games, and we'll just pretend that says default. Go into mods, we go into default mods, and this will be what is in the regular game modes or the games mod directory. And we go into default and say I want to double check to use a default texture. They're all in here. So let's just see. Default gravel, yep, that's great. default stone. Okay, wonderful. That is correct. And then if I wanted to be anal about it, I could just copy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because there are 6 sizes to the or 6 sides to the cube. Want to make it big, or actually let's make it really tall. There you go. And it's going to be a cube. If you wanted it to be any other one of these, then you could make it. A sprite is just a 2D picture. Excuse me, I have to clear my throat real quick. Now, a sprite is a 2D image, and it will stay 2D whatever angle you look at it from. An upright sprite will be upright, but it could change. It'll basically stay upright and it'll turn, always facing you. A mesh is just a mesh, like the player mesh, and a wheeled item is just like an item. Realistically, I should probably be doing it as a wheeled item, but I'm feeling rather lazy, so I don't really care. So let's see, let's just get that to cube. Weight, I'm not sure that weight's used anymore, so we'll just kind of get that out of there. We want it to be physical. We want it to have 10 HP. Sprite dev, initial sprite base position. This is for sprites. I don't need any of this. We do want it to make footstep sounds. We do want it to automatically rotate based on where it's going. Is visible, true. And now, there is one thing I do to test these, and it's Minetest override item. And it's right in the developer wiki right here. And we just check my recorder, and if we override an item, what I like to do is put this way down here, and then put this right here, call it default stick. And I believe I'm going to research Minetest on right click. Sure, that's good enough. And sometimes I have to go Minetest Lua API, and there is one in every source code. If we go in here, this is the source code, and it's just in the documentation folder, and it's Lua API. But I like to look it up online in case there's any changes made to it, any updates. Now let's see. Right click, and what we can also do is go Minetest register tool, and then Minetest register item. And here it is. So we want to do on place, or we could do on drop. Let's get a little experimental with it. On drop, and there's a function called Minetest.add entity, and then we'll add it to the position, and then we'll just do node shifter base, and that'll add it in there. Now let's just run Minetest real quick, and I like to do it from the terminal, just in case it's easier to read debug errors. And I was browsing the servers yesterday, but let's delete the community pack, and let's do something like this, and let's configure it, and turn on the node shifter, and I'm probably gonna get an error or something. Non-existent item. Oh yeah, another thing we have to do is type in default and save it as depends.txt. Now it'll depend on default, so it should make it easier. Let me get all the things. There we go. And surprisingly, it didn't have any errors, which is kind of weird. Usually I get at least one error. That means this video is going to be really difficult. And I am using a unstable version, so it is going to crash every so often like that. Let's see what happens. Oh boy. I'll just have a sip of my Coke. Okay, what's happening? Oh boy, okay, that was weird. Let's get a stick. That's weird. Look at the stick in the inventory. It's all like warped. There we go. It works correctly. I'm adding in entities. It's actually it's literally that simple. Now let's do something. On activate equals function self dtime and we always, this is still a table. And if you notice by this and this, we're just defining it. There's other ways to register an entity. You could create a table like I don't know, entity equals blah blah, entity dot on step equals function self dot dtime, or no self dtime, then just kind of do something, print do something, and now we could do Minetest dot register entity and call it oh yeah, it's entity, or what we do is we name it entity or whatever the mod name would be, and then we'll do entity, and that would register it as the entity. And there's multiple ways to do that, but that was the easiest one. Let's see what else we got here. On activate self.object, and that will call the actual object of itself. Self.object, and to be recursive about this, we could do self get Lua entity dot object set velocity x equals 0, y equals 0, or -10, z equals 0. And I'm pretty sure this will technically work. This is an absolutely asinine way to do this, but we could do it. And it seems to have worked, because I'm pretty sure they're already loaded into memory at this point. Nope. Okay, that does not work. And that is just it's a silly way to do that. And we'll just do self.object set velocity. But we actually don't want to set velocity. We want to set acceleration, and we'll do it 9.81, like the rest of the entities or players in the game abide by. You can also do I'm pretty sure you can get the gravity if they have defined it, but we'll do that for now. And when we start this up, all the entities will just start accelerating towards the ground like the player does. It's easy stuff. And there they are. Oddly tall. And since I am in creative mode, I can just kill them instantly. And it is super laggy. Oh. Whoops. Let's clear the objects in here, because there's just so many objects. And it cleared the objects, nice. Let's try to at least get out of this area. There's so many mobs. Holy crap, this is a huge area. Alright, here we go. Only the ducks will spawn over here. I'm using the community pack, so it gets pretty interesting. Let's go into an area that's already loaded. And we'll just kind of drop a whole bunch of these things. And I do want to have it so position.y equals position.y plus 1. So it will, not 12, 1. So it will do, it will add them a little bit more upwards, so it won't just go to the ground randomly. And right after I do this little test, we'll get into how to do functions within entities. Die already! Die! There we go. Beautiful. And there we go. It's added in. I'm also going to change the Y scale to 1 so it looks like an actual block. Now, let's see what we got here. Alright, so we're going to make this random stone do something. So, we're going to add another thing, another entity variable, and we'll call this timer. And now we'll do on step equals function self dtime end, and we'll do self.timer equals self.timer plus dtime. And now that timer will calculate that. We'll use that for randomizing its direction, where it wants to go, and all that good stuff. So we're going to create another thing over here. If self.timer is greater than, now we gotta make another internal timer. Timer expire equals 0. And now that this is set to 0, it will instantly try to calculate what it's going to do as soon as it's created. Alternatively, we could do timer.expire. So self.timer expire equals math.random 125 times math dot let's see, let's not do times, let's do plus math dot random. And what this is going to allow is, if it's 1, it can be 1.0001 to 1.9999, or transversely could be 5.0001 to 5.999. Stuff like that. It's really simple. Self.timer expire then end, and we'll just do a simple test right here. Print do something, and then we'll do self.timer equals 0, and then we'll also copy this, and we'll do self.timer expire equals math.random 1 through 5 plus math.random. That'll allow it to do any kind of random value like before. Now let's see this in action. I'm not sure how many I have added in the world, so it's going to be interesting. I could also make this thing its own function for no apparent reason, but it's just one line of code, so you can just copy it. And it is working. It's doing something at random intervals. We're trying to do something at random intervals. And that's pretty cool. If I add this, it'll just sit there until it gets the timer initialization. There you go, do something. That was a really long timer. Do something that was somewhat shorter. That was about the same. And we can also do print self.timer expire in case we want to get the actual debug info of what the entity is doing. And it's all simple stuff. So let's see this one in action. Let's see what happens. 3.2, 1.29905, 3.1, 2.07. My computer likes really low numbers for some reason. No, never mind. Changed its mind. And as you can see, it's about as random as it can get, so we know that's functioning correctly, so we can just kind of add on our other stuff. And we'll just bolt essentially what you can do with entities is you can bolt on functions. So on activate, on step, stuff like that. They're all defined in the Lua API. If you go into your source code, or if you go online to the Lua API in the GitHub, there's just simple things on step in the entity definition. And these ones are called by default in the game. On activate is when the entity first creates itself. On step is what happens whenever a world tick happens or a world step happens. On punch, you punch it. On right click, you right click, it gets static data. I'm pretty sure this is what happens, or this gets called when the entity deactivates and reactivates. And it's pretty nifty in case, like you say, you have an entity that belongs to someone. You can pass it to, or you can pass it into memory and it'll get stored in the game. And then when they go back and they reactivate the entity and bring it back into the world, it'll know that it's owned by the person and it'll follow them around or something. So let's start bolting in on our own functions. And we'll just separate these by these little lines. So we'll call this set. What should we do? Set behavior. Behavior equals function self end. Alright, now what should we do in set behavior? Let's see. So in set behavior we can have its own thing or have its own variables for its set behavior. And we can call this behavior equals 0, and we can have little notes like 0 equals stand, 1 equals walk randomly, 2 equals attack, stuff like that. And now let's see. Set behavior. Behavior equals math.random 0 to 2. And of course that's going to be self.behavior. And we can just bolt this on right here. Set behavior. And let's see, self. And now let's see if this works. I might have to do self.setBehavior. Expected to close line blah at blah. Here we go. Here's the issue. Since it is a table, you got to put those on, those little commas, separate all the items. Now let's see how this works. Okay. Yep. Set behavior is a nil value. So we'll do self.setBehavior self. See how this goes. Oh boy, it's probably not going to work. Let's find out. No, apparently it's working. That's cool. And it is doing something, so it is working correctly. And we'll just make a little note here. How the entity decides what to do. Now let's add in another thing. And alternatively, what we can do is we can take this and we can move this here. Then we can push this here. And we can do self.setBehavior. Oh, I don't know how to spell. self. Now we can have this print self.behavior. Now it's cleaned up the on-step code a little bit, and it's making a little bit more sense because it is calling all behavior steps in the behavior or the set behavior function. And it is working correctly. How nice. And it's just cycling through random behavior steps. Now, unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to program the thing attacking the player in this video. I will just do 2 behaviors, standing and walking randomly. With the attacking, all I'd have to do is get players in an area, but behaviors like that are very complex to code, and I can't really do it in the span of an hour or 2. So let's do another function. And we'll bring this over here. How the entity, see, I cannot spell, carries out behaviors. And we'll call this, what should we call this? Let me think for a second. Simply behavior. See, I've already have behavior. Act out behavior. Not a very good function. A little bit of a mouthful, but it's whatever. And we'll just do this self. And we can also do dtime. It's for any kind of time-based stuff. And we'll do if self dot behavior equals 1, then actually we'll start from 0, count from 0, then print stand. Else if self dot behave equals 1, then print, we'll just do n for now, print walk. Now we do this, I haven't even called it yet, but we'll call self dot acts dot behavior self dtime, and we're just passing all on step functions into itself so it can act out its behavior. It's really simple. And now in about 10 minutes or so, once I have the actual walking around coded, I'll start getting into how to change its texture, which will be really simple. And I will change its visual. It's just getting a bunch of walks. Okay, cool. This one's just standing. This one's walking. Okay, everything's working correctly. Okay. So let's see. So when it changes, or when it sets its behavior, let's also have it self.yaw equals, see, I have no idea what to do. I could do math.pi times 2, which is 6.28, and that will cover all of the values, or all the rotation. And then I could do self.object set, or not, because it has an automatic face direction, self.yaw. And now if walk, we'll do self dot, or local x, local y, or local z. And we'll do x equals self.yaw, math.cosine, self.yaw. I'm probably doing this backwards, times -1 equals math dot sin self dot yaw times, and we don't have to actually do anything with that, but we have to add into this yaw equals 0 to set a base yaw, otherwise when this acts out before it has anything defined it will crash. Now let's see, self.yaw equals math.py times 2, which is 6.28, and we'll do if self.behavior equals 1, and we'll do a debug. Debug equals 1, whatever, I don't know. Okay, so self.behavior equals 1. And what I'm doing here is even though it could be 0 to stand, I am overriding it after it is already changed. So it's always going to be 1. Now let's see if this works correctly. And I'm not expecting anything great out of this mod, I'm just doing it to show as an example how to make basic mobs. Or mobs, or mods, or whatever you want to call it. So let's see, stand. That's great. And what I can do is, I can also print .yaw. And right now I'm actually going to take a break to go eat dinner. So I'll catch you guys in the next video, which should be out in another hour. So see you guys until then.